I think it's pretty safe to say that by far, one of the most mysterious aspects of the Star Wars sequel trilogy has all to do with the character of Rey in episodes 7, 8, and now even 9 by director J.J. Abrams. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, we do know that The Rise of Skywalker is going to serve as a film that will be full of revelations that will connect to the past Star Wars movies, the past 8 Star Wars movies to be exact, that will really have saga-wide implications to the entire Skywalker saga, and that's exactly what J.J. Abrams wants to explore, is that he wants to explore the backstory of many characters like Kylo, Rey, Palpatine, Luke, etc., not just in the film, but also in the novelization, the visual dictionary, and other forms of canon material like books and novels coming out in 2020. Now, on top of all of this, what's really exciting has all to do with Rey's backstory in The Rise of Skywalker and exactly how JJ is going to utilize the character of Rey in Episode 9. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is that shot descriptions consisting of a sequence where it's explained that both Rey and Kylo Ren are said to be in a Force bond, where Kylo Ren is said to be revealing new truths about her lineage to her, where in the sequence it's explained that Kylo places his hand on Rey's head and is able to provide her visions of her past that were repressed memories. It's explained that in the upcoming film, novelization, visual dictionary, and other canon books and novels, Rey's backstory will be explored in greater depth, and that one of the segments of the film is described to go over how during Rey's childhood, during she was dropped off at Jakku, is that, of course, before she was dropped off at Jakku, when she was around the age of 3, she lived on the world of Coruscant. It's explained that at one point in time that Rey was a Coruscanti and could imply as to why she holds the Coruscanti dialect. It's explained that during Rey's time on Coruscant is where she lived with her parents, who are said to hold a deep and vital connection to Darth Sidious/Emperor Palpatine, who had a history on the world of Coruscant. It's described that during Rey's time on the world of Coruscant, her parents called her by the name of Kira, which was JJ's original take on the character for The Force Awakens, before calling her Rey. During her time on Coruscant many years after the fall of the Empire is where Rey began to learn about the history of the Empire and the legends of Han Solo and Chewbacca. Also, Rey would learn stories about Darth Vader, as well as, of course, how his son Luke Skywalker was the one responsible to destroying the Empire once and for all. It wasn't until Rey was abandoned on the world of Jakku where she would learn more about the legends of Luke, where it's explained that at one point in time during Rey's time on Coruscant, and while she began to grow older, is where they actually moved from world to world, trying to hide Rey from somebody dangerous. That dangerous individual was Palpatine from the Unknown Regions. During the infancy of the First Order is when Rey's parents handed her over to somebody called Zori Bliss, who was said to be the one responsible of dropping Rey off on the world of Jakku. Now, Rey's parents, who hold a connection to Palpatine, knew they were being hunted down and felt it through the Force, and that her parents were eventually killed on the other side of Jakku. However, it's explained that Rey's parents gave her over to Zori Bliss, and Zori dropped Rey off on the other side of Jakku, when Rey's parents were killed near Palpatine's abandoned hideout by use of an ancient Sith weapon by one of Palpatine's Sith loyalists. For years, Rey would be alone growing up as a scavenger and began to learn more about the legends of Luke Skywalker during his time here for the Battle of Jakku. Here, Rey would begin to feel a strange presence reaching out to her from the Unknown Regions, a dark and sinister presence that she has never felt before that would initiate visions and nightmares for Rey. It's described that this was Palpatine all along, pulling the strings, and that, of course, this was the moment in which he was the one directly responsible for the Force awakening within Rey indirectly. Now, additionally, it's described that Palpatine provided visions to Rey about the island of Luke Skywalker and even visions of a young boy that was really Ben Solo. Palpatine was said to be the one pulling the strings in the background of Rey's every move during her time on Jakku and has been trying to move both of Ben Solo and Rey closer to each other over time. As Rey grew older into her teens on Jakku, just before leaving at the age of 19, and just before The Force Awakens, is when Rey would discover secrets of the Empire deep within many of the crashed Star Destroyers and began to learn more about Palpatine and his legacy. It's described that on Jakku, not only did she learn about the legends of Luke through the other scavengers and villagers, but also about the legends of Sidious during her time within these Star Destroyers. It's said that during her early childhood, Lor San Tekka knew Rey as a young teen, and even watched over her many times and told her stories about Luke Skywalker. It's established that Lor San Tekka was the main source of providing Rey direct information and legends of Luke Skywalker after and during the events of Return of the Jedi. However, Lor San Tekka would eventually leave Rey and travel to another part of the world of Jakku, hiding an important piece that would be crucial to Luke's location that even he did not trust to tell Rey about this device that served as a piece to the map of Ahch-To and Luke's location. It's described that at one point in time during Rey's life on Jakku, she would often have visions of her parents into believing that they were really home. However, they were nothing more than just visions during her time in the middle of the desert, and that at night, Rey would have terrible nightmares initiated by Palpatine from afar in the unknown regions. Hence, why Kylo Ren tells Rey in The Force Awakens, at night, desperate to sleep, as he said in The Force Awakens, scene where we have both Rey and Kylo Ren interrogating each other. Now, these visions and nightmares would mostly consist of dark secrets of her past that were locked away that Palpatine would unlock in Rey's mind, where Sidious would actually try to shift Rey closer to the dark side, but was unsuccessful. However, was successful in awakening the Force within Rey, however not the way that he really intended. It's explained the reason as to why Palpatine initiated the Force within Rey indirectly was by masking himself to be Vader's spirit through the melted helmet and causing Kylo Ren to turn to the darkness. Kylo's turn to the darkness would cause the Force to create Kylo's equal in power, which ended up being Rey. However, this was really Palpatine's plan to move these two closer between the dark and the light because, of course, year by year leading up until The Force Awakens. And now in The Rise of Skywalker, the lineage between Rey and Palpatine will be explored and how they are connected with each other. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and as to why Rey's backstory really seems like it's going to be a vital part of the storytelling of Episode 9. Now, first things first, I want to go over the real interesting piece is that Rey was not born on Jakku. Now, yes, we already knew this, but not everybody knows this in canon. It was actually officially confirmed a little under a year ago on StarWars.com. They finally put it to rest that Rey was not born on Jakku. She was actually abandoned. And this all has to do with the story between Rey's parents, who hold a connection to Sidious, which would fall directly into the leaks of Rey being the granddaughter of Palpatine somehow, some way, and the fact that Rey's parents, either the father or the mother, handed her over to Zorii Bliss. And Zorii Bliss was the one who dropped Rey off on the world of Jakku. Makes a lot of sense now because Zorii Bliss has a ship in the movie for the upcoming film The Rise of Skywalker that is literally the same exact ship that we do see leaving Jakku in the flashback in The Force Awakens. So you can see how all the dots are starting to connect to each other here, in The Rise of Skywalker to The Force Awakens. I don't know about you guys, but to me, this sounds like that this is more or less a sequel to that of The Force Awakens than The Last Jedi. There's something about this that just feels more connected to The Force Awakens than it does to The Last Jedi. That's just my point of view. But I want to go over the fact that, of course, they are exploring how Rey was really a Coruscanti, which is actually what you call somebody that lives on the world, a Coruscant, and that's a very interesting thing here that could very well allude to why she has a similar thing to the Coruscanti dialect, kind of like Jyn Erso sort of has as well. Very similar, right? So if you look at everything related here to Episode 9, the fact that they really are trying to explore, Rey's backstory and really trying to make the fans understand exactly where Rey came from and how she got to the world of Jakku, that all has to do with Zorii Bliss, picking Rey up on the world of Kijimi and bringing her over to Jakku, where the parents would later then try to find Rey, but then would be killed by Palpatine's Sith loyalists. Now, Palpatine's Sith loyalists, we're not quite sure exactly who he really is. For all we know, they could have changed Matt Smith's role from being young Palpatine to the Sith loyalist, and that could very well have been a part of the major reshoots that took place in August, September, and October of this year. So I would really love to hear what you guys have to say about this below in the comments, everything related to Rey's backstory. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. I'm not the one from night to morning.